The Dead Pair podcast is brought to you by Elite Shotgun. They stand behind you. And is fueled by Fiocchi.
Welcome to the Dead Pair podcast. Coming in hot with everything you want to hear about sporting clays.
Ben Hustway.
Each short Hawaiian person would have to fight 14 kangaroos.
Let's get Anthony on the phone.
You're making a big mistake, okay?
Yeah. We're talking Gianna Santo tonight.
Well, I have something, but I don't know how much everyone's going to like it.
I was not ready for that.
With your hosts, Jason Rambo.
You just didn't want my wife to edit something else you did.
And Sean Alley.
You gotta keep it PG-13, man.
Often imitated, but never duplicated. It's the Dead Pair podcast. The Dead Pair. And now, it's showtime.
What's up, everyone? What's up, Mr. Large and in charge?
Well,
I'm
howdy.
doing all right, Jason. Did you recover?
Hello. Best I can. So real quick before we get started, I don't know if everybody heard or saw or whatever from the last podcast that we did. We have reduced the cost of the Dead Pair Blast. It's no longer $100 back to class. It's $50 back to class.
So you're going to pay everybody $50 to show up?
No, that's coming from the Radulovich Journey Fund, not coming from the Dead Pair.
That's generous of you, David. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate that, David.
Well, I mean, I'm just here to do my part.
Right. Plus, he's doing free lessons, 2 hours for everybody after the shoot. So,
Yeah, I can't win any money, so I might as well give it away.
Wow.
So,
Big heart.
Chad, are you going to be teaching after the event, or David, either one?
I plan on it.
Okay.
I still have to get a hold of everybody and make sure it's still on.
Okay.
That's the plan. Otherwise, Mama's going to kick me out and not let me come. So,
What about you, David? Are you doing any coaching anywhere before the event?
Yeah, planning on coaching at Blackjack beforehand. I think it's beforehand.
Okay.
And then, but that might change. We'll see.
Okay.
But all of my stuff is, if you want to look, if I'll be teaching it, you can go to dradulovich.com and click book a lesson, and all my dates for down there around that time are already there.
Gotcha. So when we find out more from these two guys, we'll let you all know. But as of right now, get signed up for the Dead Pair Blast. $50 back to class on the 200 bird main, and then $25 back to class for feet task, super sporting, prelim, and 5-stand. So, and a little birdie told me over the weekend that we may or may not be having Derek Mine set to 5-stand. So,
Wow.
Yeah, everybody get signed up. Now that the Nationals is over and things are starting to calm down a little bit, I'm hoping to see some people down there. I've talked to a gaggle of people that said they're coming but haven't signed up yet. And I know they're going to be there. They just haven't signed up yet. So get signed up for that. So what this is tonight, Sean Alley and myself chased around these two guys during the ProSquad and captured a bunch of footage. And I thought it'd be fun to go station by station. You can see the differences not only in between them, but I've got some squad mates of Chad's that I videoed as well. Ben McAnally being one of them. And there was two young kids that shot on the squad, phenomenal shooters too, by the way. But it's just interesting. The whole points, you could see a lot of the stuff. You could see the targets. I thought it'd be cool to go station by station and check it out. We've already got a question. Garrett G said, is the Dead Pair Blast going to be an annual event? Yes, that is the plan. It may move around from venue to venue. We may have more than one a year, but that is the plan. We're talking to some people about doing it, one in the north, one in the south. So, yeah, that's definitely, it's going to be an annual event. All right. So anyway, Sean, while these two guys are playing with their social media, you and I shot, now this, just so everybody knows, this is of the green course. This is during the Super Squad on Sunday. Sean, you and I shot that on Friday, I believe it was.
Yes.
We started on station 2 and then worked our way around. Neither one of us shot anywhere near what we should have. But that being said, given the circumstances, what was your take on the green course targets versus the rest of the course?
Definitely a couple ticks higher than the red, yellow, and orange by far. Had a couple really nice spicy stations. Number 1, number 10, number 6 kind of gave me some fits there at those pair of true trap teals. But I was the first shooter, and I did it wrong, did it in the wrong order. So that was my bad. But yeah, definitely good targets. I mean, they're enjoyable targets. They were fun, definitely challenging. But there wasn't any gimmies on that station. There was a lot of gimmies on the other courses, I thought, in my opinion. There was none on the green course.
They made it spicier for a reason.
It's very spicy.
It's a spicy meatball. So,
Yeah.
That's spicy meatball.
So, Chad, you were amped up before we started shooting, or before you
Probably
guys
before we
shooting.
started.
Yeah. But no,
I didn't know Chad could not be amped.
I've been subduing it for many years now, David, and I'm just finally deciding at 52 years old I don't give a crap anymore. So hang on, everybody. Rad Chad's in the house. So yeah. So if you think it was crazy, it's.
We did an interview with you, which we're going to play here in just a second, right before you got started. You could see the excitement in you. But you kind of noticed something. You were texting us today in a group text, and we'll wait till it gets rolling. You noticed something about your shooting. Do you think that was from AMP?
You know, it's weird because when you're in the moment, it doesn't feel like it's like what was happening. But when I watch it on replay, I was like, holy crap. I probably need to readjust some stuff. And I bet in David's mind, it probably is the reverse effect. It probably feels really fast. And that's why he's even more slow in the external. I'm like the reverse of that. It seems like things, and it probably is for my racing, to be honest with you. It's just like when you're racing for 40 seconds for a world title, and you either got to win it or lose it. So you're giving it all you can. And I think, and I know you felt this from motocross or even the big buggy stuff that you guys used to do. It's just so much adrenaline at once that, like an F1 driver, we just slow it down. You know, we're going so fast, but we slow it down. Yeah. So when I'm racing around track, I don't feel like I'm going that slow. It feels like I'm out there for 3 or 4 minutes, you know, pedaling my brains out. When you're out there for 30 seconds. And I think in David's world, you know, from my observation, it's like the complete opposite. I think his brain is so fast, as we know, and he goes down 800 rabbit holes and is 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he can go at different subjects every second. I think in his shooting, he has to slow it down. And I bet what he feels internal feels really fast, but he doesn't realize it. Like you said, David, when you watched yourself of how slow you looked. So I think that's pretty interesting how the contrast of the two is.
Yes. I mean, I'm going back. We probably shouldn't tell the story of how this video came together. But we had a bunch of footage that we got, then we lost, and then we got again, and then we didn't have, and then we found it again, and then all this other stuff. But anyways, all of this, and then it got corrupted, and then it evaporated, and then now it came back. Then it created a black hole on Jason's computer that made him have to delete everything. Then it didn't work, and so now we're doing this other thing. But anyways, it's going to be there, and it'll be good.
Everybody follow that?
Wow. That, it's going to be there. Yeah. It's going to be good.
Yeah, don't worry. But basically, I was putting some stuff together, and I was looking at footage, and you know, Jason's camera was filming in like basically 30 frames per second. Mine was filming in 60 frames per second. I used his video to create the settings for the thing that I was editing together. So I thought, because I'm watching the videos being put, like I'm editing these 2 different clips together from 2 different sources, and I'm watching Chad shoot, and then I'm watching me shoot, and I'm putting the clips together, and I literally was like, gosh dang, how do I fix these settings? Because it's set as like a hard 30 frames per second, which is making my videos at half speed in slow motion, because it's a 60 frames per second video being played in 30. And I couldn't figure it out. All the settings I was looking at were showing that it should be good. But then I realized that I was just watching myself shoot in real time.
Oh my God.
That is an honest to God true story. And it wasn't just, I'm not talking about the length of my pre-shot routine. I'm literally talking about the speed of everything, the moving the gun, closing the gun, unloading the shells, doing everything. It all looked like it's in slow motion. And I never realized, you know, I've seen videos of myself randomly, but they're just short clips. And I've never really been able to watch, you know, a whole round of my shooting. And I didn't realize, you know, how slow everything is.
Let's go ahead and start playing the video. We're going to start off, I think Chad's little interview we did right at the beginning is at the start of it, right?
Yeah. The only thing I'm curious about is, I don't know if we share a screen. I'm hoping that the audio will go through.
It should. I mean, we'll trust me, we'll stop you if we can't hear it. So,
well, while we're waiting, is there any new scoops on the circuit? Like, is anybody getting new sponsorships? I know Derek Mine went to Krieghoff from Kolar. That was kind of shocking for some people.
That is very shocking.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you think he'll be able to? He's shooting a Parkour X. He says he likes it a lot. So curious to see how he runs on the. He'd be probably one of the first people to ever do Olympic stuff for Olympic bunker with a Krieghoff. Would that be correct? I know some people use it. They use them in double bunker, but
no. Kaylee Browning won. Yeah, she won the silver with one.
Oh, that's
2020.
Right. I guess they work then.
Okay, we got it. I think. Let's see how this works.
All right, Chad. You've been shooting great all week. What's the mindset going into the final here?
Let her rip, baby.
Let her rip.
You know, there are no plans. You just got to see it. You got to kill it. Just super stoked because they have it all set up here for all the pros and to kind of keep everybody away from us so it doesn't get too hectic like it has been in the last couple of years. But, they allowed us to, a couple of, 10 people to be able to bid on spots on the tour. And I figured, why not try to do it, just to get some experience. It's like taking a lesson from something. You can't, nobody in the coaching world can teach experience. So this is great experience for me. The kids on the squad that also were part of the bidding process or the auction. And it's just going to be just great. I'm super nervous. I feel like I'm racing again. But we're going to let it go. We're going to let it go. We're going to look at them and kill them. That's all you can do.
Compare this. Just one last question. Compare this to all the other years. Now you're on the pro squad, bought in, whatever, doesn't matter. You're on the pro squad. So compared to other years, finishing up on Sunday, what's this feel like?
This is the way it should feel.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. Everybody should have this feeling in this game if you play it. If you don't, it kind of feels like you're just shooting. It's the last round. You're just trying to get through it, get home, get out of here. And I'm like, I'm ready to roll. And it's like, this is what we're here for. No matter what, winds start to pick up. Things are going to change. It could be a lot of different things. It's cooler today because the sun with some clouds and the wind. So I'm excited about it. I just think that this is the way it should feel. And I feel like a beginning pro racer again, going after the big dogs. It's cool. Regardless how I finish, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to let it rip. And if I zero out a station, I'm going to give her heck and, and hopefully cheer on my team, which is my squad. And we're going to have a good time.
Well, hey, grip it and rip it. Have fun, my friend.
All right, guys, let's get it. Oh.
All right. Anything you want to add, Chad?
No, exactly what it was. I think that if you took those targets late, that light pull getting away. And when I watched, the replays today of other shooters like, Brandon, they took them a little bit sooner. I just didn't do it. I was a little nervous of taking it sooner because it was a bigger lead gap there than it was over at the end. And they probably knew that when they set the targets. They're like, well, if you take it late where it's easier to take, I'm going to put a light pole in the tree over there. So, good on them. I thought it was a great pair. It was a little weird. I listened to Brandon speak about these, because they all started on one, and he said it was, shooting what he would consider soft targets all weekend, and then walking into a monster as the first station of the championship round. Where if you're leading by one or two targets, that you could literally lose the lead by a lot right there if you don't do those targets right. And up until the pros shot it, I think somebody was saying the average score on that station was like 1.5 or something like that, or two targets.
Yeah.
If you look down the line. So, like I said in the video, taking three was good for me. I wish I would have got one more out of it, but hey, what the heck? So
I guess we should have prefaced this with saying that Chad started on station 6, and would you start on, David? 3?
3.
3, yeah.
I started on 5.
No, you started on
Was
6.
it 5?
I have it on video.
Oh, 6. That's right. I apologize. Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you, Jason.
So, I got it on video. You can't beat that. So
Can't lie on that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where I started.
Anyway, so that's why Chad was saying, he just owned that Station 10, which we're going to get to. Probably the most exciting part of the video. But no, I just want to let everybody know where they started on. So, in the top 2 squads, which was the top 8, started on Station 1. So
that's correct.
That's all I was going to say. You can go ahead and keep rolling, David.
Keep it rolling. All right.
Yeah.
So I don't have any audio on mine, so that way I can just talk over it. You'll see what I mean about thinking that I'm in slow motion. But you can also see, this was my second last station of the day, how terrible the lighting is. I mean, that's not bad footage of the camera. It's just dark. Targets are, you can't, it's not really worth seeing in the video, but I lost the pair on that, which is what I'm basically
Was that
doing
your
right.
first pair, David?
Yeah, it was my first pair. So I really was not nervous about the station at all when I saw it. I mean, I heard about it all week, but it didn't look challenging to me at all. I love towers. I wasn't worked up about it. And so I went up. That one was a lost dead. And these are generally targets that are my absolute strong suit. So to go lost pair, lost dead, that's where you see me kind of stopping a lot because I really don't understand. I haven't yet figured out. I basically was 100% positive of what happened, of what I was going to do before I shot, and it didn't end up working out. So I'm taking a little bit longer to try to assess what's going on, and lost dead on that one. So I out of that station with the 2. Dropped 4 birds, and up until then I was only down 2 targets, and that was my second last station.
So one of the things I wanted to pick up on that, David, if you could hold on just one second, you had a drastically different hold point than what Chad did. I mean, by like several feet. Do you think that played a role in it, or is that just because of the way you shoot?
No, I guarantee you we'll see that this whole video.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
So this was Station 2. You could see like an outgoing trap, right to left trap tilt, and then a right to left Shondell.
I commend David for not shooting very much and still sticking with that concept.
Yeah, not touching the gun since July.
Right. Because
I shot a huge difference on this is break points. I mean, I basically, the second that the bird is out of the tree on the second shot is when I'm shooting it. First shot is a little bit more aggressive, but the way that I like to shoot is just really heavily focused on starting exactly in time with the bird, so that I'm allowing that huge space to kind of collapse, and it lets it kind of work in a way that makes it to where I can shoot a target really fast and early, but the movement is slow. It just, especially, that was my last station there of the day.
So this one is Station 3.
This was actually
you'll
fun
see on
station.
you'll see on one
where
of these
started.
moves where I go through the target, and then you'll see, depends. I ran this one too, but you'll see where I think it's on the second bird. I don't know, depending on if we can get the camera to not moving. That's all right. Where my gun goes faster than the target, and I get out front, and I actually slow the gun down because I'm looking at the target and let my hands just go back where they need to be. So there's almost like I ripped out in front of it. And then I slowed down by looking at the bird, and you'll see a little wobble in the gun. I think it was that one right there. That it's something that's where the new stuff is coming in, where it's starting to be different from how I used to shoot. And see right here, you're not going to see much different from Dave and I as far as the end of the shot. You might see me move a little bit more because I'm starting closer to the trap, and just let my eyes, letting the target go by so it doesn't excite me. And then it's basically just chasing it down, letting the hands go where they need to go.
Alec is saying that you could have taken it both ways, but depending on wind, that must have been why when I shot it the way, because for me, it was like one bird you only saw on the way up, and the other bird you only saw on the way down. So it would be like ridiculous to shoot it the other way.
Sean and I, this was the 8 a.m. rotation for us, and it was dead calm on Friday at 8 a.m. And we did not have to battle the wind at all. So it was kind of easier for us, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And then there's this Station 4.
Yep, Station 4.
Yeah, so this one, pause it real quick. I want to say something real quick. So I'm watching this. I'm watching the other stuff today, and I was analyzing what everybody else was doing, and I think Zach dropped 2 birds here on that station, and it was everybody was talking about the sun was right where the kill point was on that second bird. Did you see that, David? Were you through there early enough that the sun wasn't right there?
It was my second station of the day, but so it would have been Zach's third.
Okay.
And it went straight into the sun. The sun was
that's
like
what everybody was saying.
Yeah. Honestly,
did you try to take it earlier because of that?
Yes, I shot it halfway up, I believe. But I would have regardless because I don't have. Right. I'm not going to shoot that bird up there anyway. So it didn't really affect me. Here's my personal opinion on that course. I think it dumb. Why is the Super Squad shooting in the course that is most affected by sun? Because the left half of the course has no backdrop behind it. It's a great course to throw hard birds because there's nothing out in front, where all the other courses, everything on that side except for the beginning of yellow has trees. So when the sun gets low, you can still throw birds in the tree. You're not going to have sun in the way.
Even on yellow, didn't they throw all the birds on that full side to the other direction anyway? They threw them all to, I think station one had that rabbit with the going away bird, but it was out in front of you. And then 2 was they both came from right to left. So the sun would have never been a problem in the end of the day.
Yeah. Sun.
But, I don't know what the answer is on that.
Well, I think the answer is look where the sun is before you set the targets.
I have another opinion on that. Wouldn't it be cool if we shot one of the main event courses on the K-Cup course?
Absolutely. That would be freaking
They do
amazing.
that at the state. They do that at the state shoot. They move it around. They had, like, when I shot state there a couple of years ago, they had one main over where the Super Sport course was, one on the K-Cup, and one down the alley where they ran feed tests this year. It was pretty cool. What I found with shots like this is a lot of people try to move their body first, and your bodies love to go right to left, but your hands are what go up and down. And if you lead, in my opinion, if you lead off with your body first moving, it's real easy to, especially if you're going fast with your move, it will pull the gun offline, even though you're trying with your hands to stay up on the line. So I've found to move my hands first and let the body follow on shots like this. So I stay up in the line. Again, this one got me 2 birds right here. I hit the first pair, and then I went dead lost, and then I hit the last pair, and I might have missed the first one. I can't remember, but it was that tree. That tree, I was just shooting it too late. I hit that pair.
Dude, on your third pair, I thought you were going to shoot the tree.
Yeah, I wasn't there yet, and I took my time getting to where I wanted to be, and that was not a good idea. So I told myself to shoot faster, and you can see that right there. I took it a little bit sooner. So, still learning some stuff with this new move of when to go really fast and when to let it rip. I'm curious to see. How did you do on this one, David? Did you run it?
I very surprisingly, not because I say I should run everything, but that first bird is like in my wheelhouse, and I think I just did it so well my first pair or 2 pairs that I don't know what exactly happened, but I think I missed 2 here, and I missed the orange bird, the first bird from the right, which I could shoot 100 of those from the hip and not miss them, and I wasn't nervous. I felt good. I think what I was doing is, to be fair, I was the last 3 days I hadn't shot anything the way that I like to shoot. I wasn't being aggressive, and this was my first station. I was like, you know what, for the Pro Squad, I'm just going to shoot and kind of like, not be basically attack. Not because I was trying to be defensive, but I just had no energy all week, so I didn't want to rely on my eyes. And so
did you miss it on your first pair? Or
no, I went dead pair. I smoked them both. And I think what happened was I got too excited to shoot the second bird that before I was finishing the first shot, I was already visually going to the second It's the only thing I can tell you, because mechanically everything felt good. This will be another dead pair. And then I started, I think I went lost dead, I believe. Or maybe just one miss. Do you remember, Sean?
So I think you went lost
you
dead,
missed
lost
two
dead on
here.
the
It
last
shows
two.
you missed two. Yeah.
Yeah. Lost dead on the back two.
Yeah.
So you missed a first bird.
Yeah, oh, you know what? I do remember at this pair right here. Did you see what I did with my shoulder?
Yep.
I tried mounting the gun and it didn't feel right. That's the one thing I don't like about not shooting for a while, is that I just don't shoot enough. My gun, it just honestly goes all over the place. And it's not a issue of the gun. It's an issue of an inconsistency of me shooting. And so I went to go mount to get ready to shoot that third pair, and I didn't like where the gun went. So I tried to reset it. Didn't really like it. Reset it. Same thing. That's why I'm doing that. And probably that could have been why. Yeah. I also just noticed I shot that first bird way faster on my last two pair. I was probably about...
Did you feel like you just shot too fast? Like when you saw it, you pulled the trigger?
It never feels like I shoot too fast. A lot of times when I get dialed into a bird I'm good at, I'll shoot. I'll feel ready and it feels like I'm in the shot for a long period of time, but it's really like a fraction of a second. I'll pull the trigger and miss because I didn't let anything develop, but it doesn't feel like that's the case.
All right, this is station 5 here. Have a left, right, Sean down an incomer. If you look right in front of Chad, you can see the target coming in.
Now, I will tell you guys this. This is why I wore a hat that day. I didn't wear a hat the whole weekend, because right there at that shot, I was staring right in the sun. And I like to use the light or mid-light lenses. I don't like to go dark lens, especially with all the black in the background of where the trees were. So it was really hard to see that bird coming through behind that tree. So I wanted to be able to see some movement because I'm holding tight. If I could redo the station over, I'd just get to the front of it faster. I would have got it right about there instead of that 10 or so feet more, because that sun, even on, and that was my last station of the day, and I got to run out of station. And I always try to run out the last station of the weekend. I was actually even telling myself that, is like, look, I've had a great weekend. Let's finish it out. So David, I want to see where you pulled the trigger on this one. This is going to be interesting. Mm-hmm. Because they didn't have a lot of you shooting in the ProSquad on the videos.
Yeah, Mark.
So when you point right there, is that your kill point?
Kind of. Sometimes it's really just trying to get a sense of what my posture will feel like.
Okay, in that area, because that's it's within a few feet of where you're killing it. But see how far left he killed it compared to where I did, and that I guarantee you the sun wasn't a problem with you doing that.
Right. This was my third station.
Hey guys, Jason and I really love bringing this podcast to you week after week, but it does take a lot of time and a lot of resources to make it happen. And without these very special people, we couldn't do it on a week-by-week basis. Hey, Toby Tomplay, help these guys remember who they need to support.
Yes, sir. They can support Fiocchi USA, Elite Shotguns, Vero Beach Clay Shooting Sports, Score Chaser, Odo Pro Technologies, Rhino Chokes, RE Ranger, Taconic Distillery, and Atlas Trap Company.
I knew what I wanted to do. I actually dropped 2 on my first station. I dropped 1 of each. No big deal here. It's just the way it works. Ben, I don't think he missed a target until we got to the rabbit station. So he was rolling right here. He did a really good job through all these targets. God, he was really fun to shoot with.
You guys can see it's a true pair. Both of them are trap kills.
When I edited this, I kept some stations in where Ben was shooting because I wanted you to kind of talk about what you're doing when you're watching someone else shoot, Chad.
First off, I just want to see, well, it's pretty simple. I used to have lots of steps, but I mean, realistically nowadays, what I do is I'm just looking at where they're killing the target. If it looks even close to what I like, and see if I like, especially on a true pair, like if they're killing it in a certain spot, do I like it there so I can shoot the other one? I'm a coach, so I'm seeing if their their stance is right or whatever. And then if it isn't, I know they're going to miss something. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it with my hands sometimes if I don't feel confident with the target. I think, do I miss one here? I think I missed the first one on this one. Yep, there it went. And then I hit the second one,
why?
and then I slowed it down. Yeah, I know why. I slowed it down on this one. I hit it, but now look where I took the second shot and I missed that second one. So I went way too fast on that pair that I missed the first one.
Why do you hold so close and move so fast?
Because you have your inside peripheral vision, which is about a 45-degree angle from your eye socket out. And if I have my gun, I don't want my eyes away from my gun too far. Because if you're really loose in the gun, like everybody teaches you how to be, what can happen is if you're holding, like, say, for example, halfway out and your eyes are back of the trap, if you aren't super, super disciplined and have a lot of experience, it is, and especially if you're being relaxed, your hands will start moving as soon as you get your center vision on that target. And if you're basically like in,
and you don't want that to happen.
Depends on the style of shooting you want. Now, in your case, the way you guys shoot, the guys that start in front, stay in front, I would say it's probably okay because you're letting your eyes start the gun and you're confident in, doing whatever you're going to do with the gun. For me, that's fine. But out of all the methods, in my opinion, especially because I studied the shit out of all this stuff, plus what I've learned over the last few months, is if I can get my eyes back towards the trap and keep my gun in a position so when my center vision takes over that target and I start moving with it, that I know where my barrel's at without having to find it or have the feeling of wanting to find it and know where it's at, it's already there. So then all I'm working on is just chasing down the target, going through the line and getting where I think I need to be, where I feel the lead, and then I shoot it, and then I may see the lead after I pull the trigger. The only time I'll actually see the lead now, the way I'm shooting, is on a real slow target where, and I'm sure you do the same thing, Dave, is like you'll see a target and the barrel's within the same spot as the target and it's going slow. You're going to see the barrel whether you like it or not. So I've changed my hold point. So I've been a big, huge proponent of starting halfway back from the kill point or kill zone, the center of the kill zone to the machine, and being very exact about the move I'm going to make, the style of move I'm going to make, and how I'm going to make the move. And none of that's wrong because that's how I teach. And for somebody that doesn't have a lot of years behind them or a lot of experience, I think that's a very important thing. You got to be able to know how to pull away. You got to be able to know how to, maintain lead, swing through correctly, collapse lead, spot shot, intercept, whatever you want to call all these different moves. Let's just face it. There's a million of them. And to be honest with you, there's not any wrong way to shoot that I've really learned over the years. And every time I've ever thought about some way of shooting is the only way, I've been basically proven wrong by somebody that they have actually gone out and done something different and shot well. Whether they're tomahawking the gun and throwing the gun at a target or, pulling away like Anthony or coming from behind the trap like I saw George do with, the lasers once they put the lasers on his gun. So I wanted to not have – basically, I wanted to figure out what was going on with my game. And I was working with actually Brandon. We were teaching in Cardinal Center and for a week, and we got to hang out every day and go to dinners and stuff like that. And he was watching me shoot. And the bottom line is he just flipped me around when we were shooting. He just told me, he's like, you need to stop shooting like you teach. I'm like, well, it works. Look at my students. They all kick butt. They do well. They run a lot of shoots, whether it's nationals and different stuff in different classes. And he goes, but they're not you. You need to let go a little bit and learn yourself and change, or continue to, fail in some events and do well in others and want to quit every time you want to shoot because you have no confidence. And so I just took the shackles off. I feel like I'm still learning the move. I feel sometimes I'm a little too deep sometimes, but what I'm trying to do is as soon as it gets near my barrel, I can see everything clearly and I can just go. And I see the target better. I know where I'm putting the gun better. And honestly, I just feel more confident doing it that way because I've always got the line. And that's really it. And I think, over the 4 days, my scores, if you guys look at my scores, they're not all that great, but I gained 9 targets from last year. And I haven't shot this well since 2019. And to be honest with you, I don't think I knew what I knew now back in 19. I think I did shoot a little bit more free with the way I was shooting, and it worked. And I think targets were thrown a certain way or whatever. And, and I just felt like there needed, it's not that I was searching, but at the same time I was, for a while I was searching for technique. I was talking to Ben, I was talking to Anthony, and, I went to Derek, and, I spent time at his house, and, all these guys are like, you need to stop flying around the country, just to have somebody tell you that you're good. You just start shooting like you know how. And it's not like you don't know how to teach and you don't know what you're doing, just do it. And I'm like, well, I just haven't really felt like I've ever settled into a way of shooting that kind of fit, to be honest with you, fit my personality, where I could just be Rad Chad, or however you want to say it, and just be myself. And I have that I don't have to subdue any emotions. I can just go. And to be honest with you, it actually helps me get through the course better. I feel like I'm in the moment. If I miss, I miss. I turn around and load up and I go. There's not a reason I miss. It just happens. I'm good enough. I know I'm good enough that I don't need to sit there and analyze, okay, did I have enough target lead on that one? Did I do the right pull away? Did I pick the right technique? Did I not insert on the front edge? Did I insert on the back edge and all this shit, or even starting in front of the target, like what Wendell taught me, which I thought was the only way to shoot when I was, back in the, from 2014 to probably 19 before I started, trying other things, when targets started changing. I felt really calm and collected with that stuff. And I won a lot of things, won state titles and FETAS titles and all kinds of stuff. Shooting that way. But I felt, as I've gone along, I've realized that, however you shoot a target or are taught how to shoot a target is just a glorified way for a coach to be able to explain forward allowance, how to get there. We all have our shtick. We all have our thoughts and processes of why we think something is better than the other. And, and I'm not saying I don't even know if what I'm doing right now is the best way. It just seems like I'm on the right path doing the things I'm doing now, compared to what I was doing before. Cause I was, I put down 25,000 rounds a year, and that's, 13 of it is probably practice, to 15 of it is practice. So, it's not because I didn't try.
Yeah. Let's move on here. We're still got 4 more stations to go.
I'm going to make one half comedic, but also very true statement. A big reason why I don't have to know where the gun is. I don't have to see where the gun is to know where the gun is because I do the same thing on everything for the past 25 years. So if I've done it that long and that many times on everything I've ever done, that's how you get to actually perfect something. And in my personal opinion, this is where Chad and I disagree. I personally do not believe that it's a good thing to try to do a bunch of different methods and mechanics and change things up a lot, because then I can show you neurological evidence, science, research that shows that you're not allowing those things to become non-conscious. The amount of work that it takes to turn a new thing into a non-conscious, or my favorite word that everybody likes to make fun of me for, a proprioceptive thing, is a long time and a lot of work and a lot of effort. And if you're continuously changing the way that you're doing things, you're just never going to allow yourself to shoot not at a conscious level, even when you're in a match. And that's a huge reason why, there's a statement that you can be a jack of all trades and a master of none. And there's that saying for a reason.
And actually, I believe in what you just said 1,000%, because I'm a living proof of that, because I'm really good at all of them. And unlike you, David, I've taken lessons from just about every person known to man. And I don't just take a few lessons. I've spent a lot of time with each of my coaches, and I still consider them my coaches that I've used in the past. And if I ever win anything, they will all get credit for it because they've made me who I am. But you're absolutely right. There's, the way I'm shooting now is I took the steps out of my head. That's all I've done. I've taken everything I've done over the years, and I'm very well versed in all those things. And I've simplified the game, and, and I may have simplified it differently than how David's simplifying it, but I think I've finally found something that works for me the way it just works for me. And, we're both, I'm still sinking a target. I'm still, eyes are on the target. I might be coming from behind the target. But that's just because I want the line, and I'm never going to lose the line if I do that. And I don't have to practice a ton to find those lines. And that's, where I will disagree with Dave is just because I've done it all is, and spent a lot of time with different people is, what Dave does is amazing. If anybody ever can figure out and do what Dave does in a long term, it's awesome. I love what him and Wendell do. I know they're a little bit different. There's a lot of difference nowadays, but in essentially the base fundamentals are the same. I think it's great. I think it's, he's sticking to one thing, and I think that's again why Dave and I worked so well together doing clinics, is because I'm very well versed in the other techniques. And, then you got guys like Brandon out there that, what he has showed me is almost next levels kind of stuff, but in a way it's not, it's a way of, simplifying the game in that format, so.
Yeah. What Brandon does is like the opposite of next level. It's like the oldest thing. He's just a freak of nature.
The Dead Pair.
It's a hard explanation because I can't even, everything is, but it isn't. How's that? If you say, do you see the barrel? Yes. If you don't, but you don't. Is it swing through? Yes, but it's not. Is it maintained? Yes and no. Is it pull away? Yes and no. It's such a feel, instinctual, yes, but not, knowing where your barrel's at, knowing lead, yes and no. I think uber, tons of shells downrange, just like you, David.
So how do you swing through a bird and stay on the line? Why is that easier?
Because your barrel's going through the line, David. You don't look at your barrel, so you wouldn't know how to do this.
No, but what I'm saying is if the bird is curling and you're trying to swing through it in transition, that's not easier to do.
Sure it is.
No, it's not. It's an arcing
line. An upside down, smiley face, do whatever you're going to do. Proof's in the pudding, dude. Look at that. I mean, I know look at him, Dylan Thompson. Who's the other person? Copeland. These guys are doing really well everywhere in the country.
The difference is that there are kids. You can take any kid. I could take any kid, and if the kid shot as much as Jasper, Dylan, or Hunter, and you could teach them anything, and they would be good.
Sure, I agree with that.
With kids, it's more like neurologically, it's more about how much are they shooting, and do they have somebody there with them as a coach, like what Brandon's doing, to continuously shape them and give them feedback to be able to connect their interoceptive versus exteroceptive experiences. So while they're shooting consciously, they're getting interoceptive data that's telling them, oh, I'm moving like this. It feels like that. That's happening. This is happening. And then Brandon can be there as the expert and say, hey, when it felt like that, it looked like this and this was happening and that was happening, or vice versa, give the translation. And then a kid can learn incredibly fast doing anything. But what I think is important, and I'm not, hopefully it doesn't feel like I'm calling you out on this, Chad, because I'm not, it's not at all what I'm doing. But what I'm saying, the only thing I'm saying is that you hear a lot of people say, well, you can't do it this way because you can't stay on the line, and you can't stay on the line like that. You can't stay on the line like that. But if you do it this way, you can. That's not true. It's if the argument, there needs to be an argument for why that it's easier evidence for why is it easier to stay on the line if you swing through. If the answer is because it is, or because it's there, or because there is no answer that can definitively say that that's easier to stay on the line, because the real answer is that all of them are equally challenging to stay on the line. There is no one way that is better or easier to stay on the line. The way that you have to stay on the line, the requirement of it is that you have both of your eyes converged at the distance and depth and XYZ location of the bird as it flies through air using smooth pursuit binocular convergent vision. That's the only way that you're going to stay on the line. Or if you're using peripheral vision and your brain is projecting the line while it's straight. But otherwise, there is no one movement that's easier or harder. If you want actual real evidence, that you can give an evidence in saying that swing through would be the worst way to stay on the line because it's the one that has the biggest difference in speed, that biggest positive difference in speed between the bird and the gun, which is where it is harder to control the location of the gun. You can make an argument for saying that a bigger move is easier to control. And even if I conceded that, you can't say a faster move is easier to control. Nothing that needs to be precise is ever done quickly. So the real thing is that all of the methods, all of the ways that anybody were to approach trying to stay on the line, if that's a problem, they're all the same. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. There is no one way that's better to do it. And I think that it's misleading.
Well, I think what you're trying to understand, or what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing with you, David. So
well, I know that I'm actually. It may sound like, unfortunately, you're the guy relaying the information.
No, but I'm not trying to relay anything, because that's not what this is. So I mean, you can have Brandon on here and you guys can talk about it. But here's the deal. I think
we should do that.
When you swing, when you come from the problem is this. Is everybody puts it in a category. They go, what is the swing through? Well, what is swing through?
Yeah.
Swing through.
And when is the swing through?
Spot shooting, all those. It's just bullshit to just talk about how to get forward allowance, right? I mean, let's just talk. I mean, if we didn't talk about some kind of form to get in front of a target, most coaches wouldn't have a conversation. It's like, just look at it and shoot it. You're not gonna. That's not worth $200 an hour. So the deal is this: if you have a lot of lead, like my hand's right here, and I got a lot of lead. When you're trying to shoot a target that's smaller than your bead, or your bead's bigger than your Radula stick just fell. Yeah. Knocked out a shell. You shoot one way, David. I've shot them all, and I've studied them, and I've studied under the best shooters in the world, under most of them. And, I could say that there's something to that. Because I have a very good understanding of how each one works when they're really good to work, because there is no right way to shoot. If there was, you'd be winning a lot, and so would Wendell.
Yeah, 100% agree.
When you look at George, who's the greatest of all time, and you look at Brandon, who is an alien, nobody moves a gun like Brandon. But I will say, what do they do that is similar is how they move the gun from behind the target. I think what people are getting all stressed out about is they when you say they're coming from behind a target, and him and I've had this conversation, we've argued about it for hours because I don't understand it, is they get this mechanical concept of trying to understand what the move is, like it's this, it's this, it's this. And it really isn't all that, but it is. And that's what's so hard to explain, because I've actually stood behind him and said, this is what you're doing. This is what I see. And he says, you're absolutely right. This is what I'm doing. This is what you see. Then he'd shoot a few more and he'd turn around and he goes, now try to teach that. I'm like, it's no way, dude. If you try to teach it from a mechanical standpoint, you'll fail instantly with it. I guarantee it. Probably very similar. If I try to mechanically teach what you're teaching, from a mechanical standpoint instead of from a feeling standpoint, it's very difficult. I can, but that doesn't mean it's right. I can, I had a hard time when I first learned how to shoot with what Wendell taught me. How do I explain that now that I'm very versed in how to shoot it? Now, how do I explain it? And I had to come up with my own stuff that is not just about looking at the bird and starting some length in front of the target. I had to kind of, I'm using different concepts. And that's why I started studying lead so much. Not that I teach lead, but I teach how to understand what it is and what it should, what it looks like without staring at it. And that's super hard because most coaches don't want to talk about that.
The Dead Pair.
So, 2024 Nationals, both of you were on the Pro Squad this year.
Yes, sir.
Thoughts on that?
It's the best thing going. Sorry. That's all me.
Yeah.
I just think it's the coolest thing ever.
I can't say enough great things. These are some of my favorite people. And when you love it as much as we do, to be on a first name basis and have a relationship and be able to shoot with and learn from and interact and tease and joke and all of the stuff, like that's why we do this, right? Yeah. You can take this to a painful level. And I think that's where like all the memes come from, right? Like, hey, did you hobby really this weekend? Right. Like, well, yeah, we did, because it makes us feel good. And I'm going to do it again and again and again. And so I can't get enough. That a long-winded way of I can't get enough.
I just think it's what it's all about. I've raced pro BMX, and this is the same feeling. And, I got the best friends out here. Really, it's like everybody's out here that does what you want to do. And whether you think there's pros out here or not, or if you're not a pro or not, you know what? We're all professionals. We have to look good. We got to dress good. You got to feel good. You still got to hit the targets, and it's how we handle ourselves. We got 2 kids on the squad, and we had a blast with them, and that's interaction with the youth and the future with us, and we're in the middle. We're not ready to give it up yet, but we're going to make them work hard. But we had such a fun we had a big entourage because of the families with the kids, not just you and, some of the people we know, but it was fun watching them grind it out.
Well, thanks for,
and I'll throw it to not only those kids, but I've got several friends out here that are also participating in the Pro Squad because they were auction winners, and they're out here to love it and to learn it. And we talk about sporting clays having accessability, right? And that's how you're accessible.
You can't race pro if you're not a pro. You can't. We're right alongside the best of the best. And that's and we're battling with them. And it's cool.
Thank you for letting us put on your shoulders. I hope I didn't disturb your shooting.
Absolutely not.
No, if anything, it made me concentrate because I didn't want to look silly.
Yeah, you gotta look even cooler, right? No, I love it. I bring it on. Let's do it. We've actually talked about this is the first time Ben and I have ever shot together, and we've been for a while. And I'm telling you what, I just found a new squad mate. It was that good. So
that's awesome.
Boom.
Well, congratulations to you both. You both shot very well this week. Stayed consistent, improved throughout the week. You guys should be proud of yourselves.
We are.
And thank you for letting the Dead Pair poke over your shoulders. We got some good footage. I hope we got some good footage, and we'll do a
scoops on it, and it'll be fun. We'll talk
Dead Pair for the win.
Yeah, all day long. Hook 'em horns, baby.
Take somebody new shooting, because
put a gun in their hand.
In no time, they'll be out here doing this with the rest of us.
It's that fun. Awesome.
Guys.
Right on, guys.
Sean's got a sidekick joining in there. That was pretty cool. I hope everybody got a little something out of that. I mean, both David and Chad gave some pretty interesting insights on this. So, two different ways of shooting, two different ways of looking at it, and pretty cool, really. Thank you, David and Chad, for letting us film you guys and possibly getting away or not getting away. I don't know, but we definitely.
Yeah, I tried my best not to get in the way, but God only knows. I was probably bumping into other people when I wasn't looking. So apologies to anybody I got in the way of when I was out there trying to film David.
I only got yelled at one time for getting in the way. So
that was dumb.
Still not sure how I would.
You had a camera in your hand. You would think that was pretty self-explanatory that you're going to be filming somebody, but
especially when I was 30 yards from the cage when that happened. So
right,
dang,
right,
yeah, but it happens.
No, I know David and I went down a rabbit hole about shooting techniques or whatever.
That was the purpose of the video.
Yeah, that was exactly. And I think what people need to understand is, everybody's going to have their way of shooting. In my opinion, I don't think there's any right or wrong way to shoot. I think it's all a journey. I think, find what suits you. I happen to just find them all over the years. And, I think what David teaches is fantastic. And I think what I teach is fantastic. And I think what Brandon teaches is fantastic, or what Anthony teaches is fantastic, or even Wendell or whoever. So I think find somebody that I think I think you said this, I'm saying I think a lot. I apologize, everybody. But I want to believe that David said this once is you talked about being a coach and an instructor. And we like to be coaches because we want to connect with our students and, long term, and, because how each person is, I think this is where I'm really fortunate with knowing all the different styles of shooting and stuff between their personalities and, how they are as a person. Is if you can find a coach that you can connect with on a personal level. Obviously you get a friend out of it, but you also get a long-term thing that hopefully that coach can put you in the right direction to get the most out of the potential of you, because every person, I've worked with both of you guys, and I've worked with David actually, and it's every person has their little tweaks and groans and moans and that we've had to work on that's separate from somebody else at the rate that they even learn, so I've had to do some different things with different students just because of the way their brains work or the way they are personality wise, or even physically. So
yeah, every person requires a different touch. And that's the goal of a coach, not only to figure out how best to communicate to somebody, but to learn how your student learns. And then to basically teach them through that filter. If you can't do that, and I don't mean like just the simple thing of communicating in words or showing them with your gun. I mean, literally, like, you have to be able, coaching is a give and take. And the take that the coach takes is feeding off of paying attention to what's a hit or a miss with that person and understanding their strengths and weaknesses and their capabilities and the characteristics that they have that don't allow them to do specific things, whatever that may be. Some people's things are more straightforward than others because, it's something about how their eyes work or their, the way that, literally I have a student whose whole back is fused together, so he can't move his neck or his back. So that's totally different physical things. But then other things are like what Chad's talking about, which is really important, that if you were watching the TCN thing, on the first night, which you can go to the Champions Network website to see, he was talking about how, he's just letting himself be himself. And if you look, and that's the one thing that I think was so cool about this video, is that relatively the same score between me and Chad. But if you watch Chad and you watch his body language and you watch his external physical energy, And then you compare that to mine, it's literally the complete polar opposite. Inside our heads, it's probably also different. I would bet you that in Chad's head, he's very calm and focused. And that's probably a little bit why externally, I may be wrong, Chad, but that could be externally why there is so much energy being shown and worn.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. And for me, it's
that's what's funny you say that, because that's exactly what Brandon picked up on with me.
Yeah. You can see that when you're, you can't do what you're doing and not be that way because of the quickness at which you're able to, when you miss, you're immediately calling pull for the next player, not taking much time in between. That's evidence of, basically how linear your thought process is, controlled that it is. Whereas for me, I'm not amped mentally, but I'm not as controlled mentally. And so I have to put so much, the effort and the energy that you see on Chad, you would read for me if there was a transcript of my thoughts. But because I have to exist in that world so much and put so much effort into it, nothing is shown.
Absolutely. And listen, Chad and David can go on talking forever, and we would love to have them do it. So maybe we'll get them back for another episode here soon to do that. I think it's time. It's been a couple years, so we need to have another Clash of the Titans episode again, even if it is a 2-part. And
let's get Brandon on here.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Well, and another thing too, I want everybody to put this in their cap. We're quickly approaching episode 200, and we have been, we have been talking about this. We want to do something special. We're not quite sure exactly what that is yet. We talked about a big round table.
I know. A big round table. Absolutely. We need a big round table like King Arthur and the round table, and put all the shooters or everybody's, that we want to put on there, and let's just go to town and have some drinks and start talking and see what happens.
I'll get one of those guitars and that banjo out behind me, and then we can get some bourbon out and we can just.
What could go wrong?
As long as you sing to me,
can't go wrong.
Okay. Nope, can't go wrong.
Yeah, we're going to skedaddle. Like I said, questions, suggestions, comments, anything, send them to us for that episode 200. And also, one more plug for Mr. Sean Alley and I always remember this date because it's my birthday, but as of November 24th, this makes our 5-year anniversary with the podcast. So,
wow.
approaching 5 years and 200 episodes. So,
Sean, how the hell have you done this for 5 years and not wanted to divorce him yet?
Dude, he's been with me since 93.
Bourbon.
I need to get a lot of bourbon.
We have a bourbon sponsor, dude. That's why Taconic Distilleries supported us, because they know how much we consume trying to deal with each other. So, but no, it's really cool. I never thought we'd be this far along, and here we are. So, it's awesome, and I look forward to another 5 years. So, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, congratulations, guys. Hey, seriously, congratulations. That's a very serious. That's pretty longest standing one. It is the longest standing one.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, David. We appreciate you guys, and we'll keep bringing this stuff to you week in and week out as much as we can. Sorry for the little break there at Nationals, but all 4 of us were buttholes and elbows. So, thanks everyone, and we will see you next week.
Adios.
See you, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
We'll see you next time on the Dead Pair Podcast.
The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by Elite Shotguns and Vero Beach Clay Shooting Sports and is fueled by Fiocchi USA. The Dead Pair theme song was written, arranged, and produced by Toby Tomplay. Big thanks to the following sponsors: RE Ranger, Odo Pro Technologies, Rhino Chokes, Score Chaser, Taconic Distillery, and Atlas Trap Company.